Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we've got another good video to discuss and to talk about. So, this is my first MonsterVerse review since 2019 when I reviewed Godzilla King of the Monsters, coming fresh out of the movie theaters. Now is 1 year after the release of Godzilla vs. Kong. We're reviewing it. Woo! Essentially, I wanted to kind of discuss this movie as just kind of a general review, giving my overthoughts and like what I thought of the film. So first up, let's go with the story. The story of the movie are. Oh, by the way, there's going to be a ton of spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie by now for some reason, like what are you doing? This is literally the biggest movie of last year. Um, so let's go starting off with the basics. This whole movie is about Godzilla having this big worldwide rampage. And I say worldwide because he only attacks one Apex facility, and really that's it. Um, so they have to go. They have to take Kong and Gia and a ton of Apex and Monarch crew to go to the Hollow Earth to find an energy sample that can power Mechagodzilla to defeat Godzilla and end the reign of monsters forever. And essentially, that's what the whole story really is. And I'm just gonna say this: that's actually a pretty clever story, honestly. It really feels like one big story, but then it branches off into two different stories. You have Team Kong and Team Godzilla. Team Kong is easily the bigger and better one of the two, but I really do feel like Team Godzilla does hold their own weight decently. They have some good jokes, they have some good scenes, and the scene where they discover Mechagodzilla coming out and just like roaring, and then like they're like, "That's a robot Godzilla," and then it's like, "No, that's Mechagodzilla." That was honestly an amazingly done scene, and I really do like Team Godzilla, but Team Kong really outshines them in a lot of different ways. Cause like I would say it's about a 70 to 30% ratio of how much screen time, at least in terms of the monsters and the story of those respective monsters get. In a sense, I think Kong is the main character of this movie. Like that's not even an opinion; that's a fact. Kong is the main character of this movie, and he goes through this big adventure to the Hollow Earth, from the Tasman Sea, traveling to Antarctica to the Hollow Earth, and then discovering this big temple where all of his ancestors once were. And it was also a mix between the Skull Islands native people that were there. So that's amazing, honestly. Uh, what else can I really say? The visuals are great. I think that in terms of the designs, Kong's design is definitely a bit more upgraded from Skull Islands because, like, he now has like a beard. He now has like a much more girthier, muscular body, like a gorilla should have. He's got more fur on the body, and he even comes with an axe, which he finds within the Hollow Earth from a deceased Godzilla relative, I think. Yeah, I think it was like some sort of deceased Godzilla. Um, Godzilla's design, on the other hand, hasn't really changed too much, although it has been indeed changed. They gave him more scarring. They gave him upgraded eyes, like I think for movement and like uh, different expressiveness and high definition. They also gave him slightly different textures too, and they also gave him enlarged dorsal fins, from what I could tell from the movie. Watching both King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, it seems like he has much more bigger dorsal fins. So, first up, the cast and characters are amazing. I really like Gia, who's probably the one that's gonna steal everyone's attention because, like, she herself can't talk like we do. She has to use sign language in order to communicate with people. And we see that Kong is intelligent enough to understand sign language, which is a real trait for, I think, gorillas and monkeys. So That's honestly amazing to see that they carried that sort of trait over to Kong, and really shows of how much of an intelligent being Kong is within the MonsterVerse. Um, from what I also could tell, they also brought some of the other King of the Monsters guys back, like Millie Bobby Brown as Madison Russell and Kyle Chandler as Mark Russell, and also have like a lot of different characters join in too. I I honestly would have liked to see more King of the Monsters representation. I know the Mothra twins. I can't remember their actors' names. I'm not really good with the MonsterVerse actors' names. I know some of the characters' names, but not the cast names. I wish they could have brought them back. Like I know they did show up for filming and they did a few scenes, but like this movie got cut so much footage. It's honestly so unbelievable. Um, like as you can clearly see though, it has like a really good cover. I'll admit. Let's see, what else can I really say? The big elephant in the room, Godzilla and Kong. Once again, their designs are brilliant. I like the way Godzilla was portrayed. He's more of a villain than a hero, because even though that people are saying, "Oh, I like my Godzilla a hero," just remember that even though this Godzilla was always praised as a hero, does not mean he is a hero. Remember, this Godzilla has done his fair share of damage to humanity before. Like, what part of this Godzilla makes you think that he really cares for humanity? I think that, like, maybe after the events of King of the Monsters, after Dr. Serizawa sacrificed himself to save Godzilla, then he kind of understood, like, the whole humanity really does care for him and he should care for them back. But then he just goes ahead and kills a bunch of everybody at an Apex facility. And then that kind of turns the tables a bit and really paints Godzilla in kind of in a bad light and really makes everybody say, okay, you're no longer a savior titan, you're a destroyer titan. So we should do something about that. And so they make Mechagodzilla. And so essentially that's kind of what Mechagodzilla's purpose is. Kong, well, we're going to roll back to Mechagodzilla pretty shortly. Kong, on the other hand, as I said, is portrayed in the film beautifully. I love all of his scenes of him just kind of running around, fighting the war bats, and getting into tussles with Godzilla. We'll get into the fights again shortly. He's just... Him discovering everything is just an amazing... It's just amazing, you know? Especially, like, all the faces that Kong makes, like, what is this thing? And then he, like, reaches out to touch maybe, like, the rock, and then it floats away onto the other side. And then he jumps up, and it's almost like he's, like, an astronaut or in space or something. I know some people watching this video probably said an astronaut in the ocean, so, yeah. And I just love Kong's curiosity and just... Like, he's so intelligent, you know? He's almost just like us. Mechagodzilla, on the other hand, is only in the film for a little bit. I think only like 6 minutes. But he has a very big part in the story. He's the reason why Godzilla's attacking. And he's also the reason why Godzilla has a role in this movie. Because without Mechagodzilla, I don't think Godzilla would be even doing this sort of thing, and they wouldn't have any reason to go into the Hollow Earth. So essentially, Mechagodzilla is indeed an essential part of the story. As to what I think, what do I think of the whole Godzilla versus Kong battles? I'm gonna be 100% honest. I like what their intentions were for the fights, but I think they should have been a little longer, specifically round 2 and round 3. Because we had the first round, which is perfect enough. Godzilla wins round 1. In the Tasman Sea, like, of course, it's Godzilla we're talking about. A literal, like, an underwater creature against something that belongs purely on land and should only go in the water for purely, like, hunting or exploring at very best. He shouldn't be able to fight in under the water. But of course, Godzilla wins round one with a little bit of plot armor towards Kong. So round two happens, and then round one takes place about 40 minutes in. Round two takes place about an hour and 20 minutes in. So then we have the first Hong Kong battle, and then the two go at it. Godzilla and Kong just give each other everything they got until Kong eventually does win by using his battle axe against Godzilla, and then causing both Godzilla and Kong to fly away. Godzilla gets knocked out temporarily. Kong gets right back up. We have a little sequence with Team Godzilla, and then we have Godzilla erupting right back up round three, and then this is when Kong tries to use intelligence to his advantage, doesn't really work, and at this point the battle axe is like flown away and is discharged, so there's no purpose to have it in this round. So then Godzilla comes along and purely shows Kong no mercy. Okay, a little bit of a side thing. I was so shocked at how angry Godzilla got to Kong. Because, like, I guess it's because we haven't really seen Godzilla get too angry at his opponents. Like, sure, he's got some beef with Ghidorah, he's got some beef with the Mutos, but with Kong, like, he literally just lays no waste to him. He, like, crawls on all fours like a crocodile. He throws him all the way across Hong Kong, dislocating his left shoulder. And, like, at the very end, he stomps his chest, literally caving it in, and then, like, suffocating him. And, like, he does eventually win round three, which is the final fight between the two. But again, I just kind of wish these fights were a little longer. But I understand, like, what they were going for. So, like, Kong here was just, he was doomed, okay? And, like, at the end, Kong does die as a result of Godzilla stomping him to death. But then Godzilla fights against Mechagodzilla, gets his butt whooped, so they revive Kong using a heave and exploding it on his chest, reviving him. And then Kong joins in just before Mechagodzilla's about to kill Godzilla. So then, the two team up against Mechagodzilla, and it's eventually Kong who gets the last blow. Although Godzilla did help out with this last blow, it was a combination of the atomic breath mixed in with the axe, and then and Kong eventually chopped up Mechagodzilla like sushi, and eventually decapitating him. Speaking of decapitation, he also did that to the Warbat, and honestly, I think the Warbat looked really cool in this movie. I will admit the Skullcrawler did get a pretty good design design upgrade, as he was a bit bigger, and he was also much more, detailed, as well as having like a much more bigger back and having a much more redder color tone on his back, which looked amazing. So as a whole, what are some cons I have with the movie? Well, once again, I wish the fights were a bit longer. I also wish the movie itself was longer. I know that sounds really weird, but I like my human interactions, okay? King of the Monsters, what this movie did, that I feel like Godzilla vs. Kong didn't really do, was have a good amount of, like, character interactions in between the monster battles, because I think that, like, this movie having a longer length than this, and having a much more detailed, fleshed out story than this, it kind of made this movie feel like the better movie in my opinion. And it is the better movie in my opinion. Godzilla vs. Kong is not a bad movie, but I just simply do prefer King of the Monsters. Probably because I'm biased or whatever, but I just love King of the Monsters. And Godzilla vs. Kong is not a bad movie, but I definitely think if it had the bigger runtime and had more footage thrown into it with more human interactions, it definitely would have succeeded, or at least matched with Godzilla King of the Monsters, in my opinion. But otherwise, I think that, also, Godzilla's screen time, I feel like, got a bit shallowed over, too. Because while it is true that he has about roughly the same amount of screen time as he did in King of the Monsters and Godzilla 2014, each, having Kong have, like, 30-40 minutes of screen time and Godzilla only having, like, 11 just really doesn't sit with me well. He's the title character. He literally comes first in the title before Kong does. Like, at least have a more evened out story between the two, even though one's a villain, one's a hero. I just, I feel like both of them should have had at least more equal amount of screen time. So a little bit more Godzilla was what I wanted. I'm not saying like you should take away Kong's screen time in order to make a balance. I'll gladly take the amount of screen time Kong had, just add on Godzilla's screen time so we have it evened out. I'd say like maybe 20-30 minutes of Godzilla, although that'd kind of be a little weird to do with the story. But overall, what did I... So now you know my honest opinions about the movie. What do I rate it? I actually went back and forth as to how I should rate this movie. I'm not going to rate it a 6 out of 10 because that's way too low. Nor am I going to give it a 10 out of 10 because even though that was my honest rating for King of the Monsters, I feel like GVK was a bit short. Because it's a bit shorter and it doesn't have as much of a dense plot as Godzilla King of the Monsters did, I don't think it gets the 10 out of 10, but what it does get is probably like an 8 or 9 out of 10. Once again, I'm not saying this is a bad movie. This is definitely probably my second favorite MonsterVerse film to King of the Monsters, but I'm just saying that I like this movie, but I felt like it could have been done a little bit long. If it was a little longer, then I perfectly understand like why it was so short, but I just wish it could have at least been a little longer. That's my main complaint. Plus a bit more screen time for Godzilla. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, definitely subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.